A significant life defining moment for me was a few years ago when I had about 12 to 15 dinner guests around my dinner table, and one of whom was a friend who had just returned after quitting her job as the director of a hospice in California. So at this dinner, I threw out this question. I said to my dinner guests, if you were told by a doctor tomorrow that you only have 30 days left to live, how would you be doing things differently? It was a question I had never even contemplated, but here I had 12 to 15 highly successful individuals, and I thought it'd be an interesting question to ask. And so one by one, my dinner guests started to answer the question. And it soon became quite apparent that for most of us, we were not living life with that sense of urgency at all. And we would be doing something quite different with life if if we felt our time on earth was limited. But our time on earth is limited. And when I looked, it's a question I had never contemplated, and when it came to my time to answer the question, I was quite taken aback by the disconnect I had. Here I was preaching alignment to my clients as a financial advisor, but my life was completely misaligned. And we all live with these disconnects. And so, but now it was getting rather uncomfortable now that I was aware of this disconnect, because I strongly believe we should be living in alignment. But people change, values change, mine certainly did. My values changed, and they were no longer in alignment with how the industry was run and was conducting itself. So yeah, I thought, well, I'm facing some critical questions here. And so then a few days after that, as serendipity would have it, a few days not long after that dinner incident, I mean, it was a life-defining moment for me, significant life-defining moment. A few days after that, I stumbled upon a phenomenal book, and it was written by a hospice nurse from New Zealand, and it's her name is Bronnie Ware, and the book is called The 5 Regrets of the Dying. And so she compiled this list of 5 top things that people she met through being a hospice nurse expressed as regrets they had. And the number one regret of people facing their mortality, people who knew they were dying, the number one regret was, if I had to do it again, I wish I lived my own truth on my own terms rather than other people's expectations of me. I mean, how many women do that? How many women live life based on other people's expectations of them rather than living life along on their terms and along their truth? So when I read that book, I was this calling to get back into alignment just got louder and louder within myself. And I took some time to figure what that was about. I had the luxury of sitting on beaches around the world and writing 4 books and subsequently a 5th book on finance. And the calling got stronger and stronger, and then I just said to somebody, in a year from now, my whole life's going to change. And once I set out that intention, it seemed like the whole universe conspired to help me get my desire. And so now what I do is I write in articles in women's magazines around the world, and I help women discover, define, and achieve goals that they might have for themselves, and to live in alignment with what they value. So it could be self-employment, they might have lost their jobs, and they discover that they might like to have their own business. It could be women who want to write and want to know what it's like to self-publish. It could be women in transition, either through divorce, the death of a spouse, the empty nest. But whatever it is, I help women discover what they're passionate about and achieve that passion, live that passion. And that's my passion. My passion is to help you live yours.